Well, welcome back. The House set to vote this week on Reconciliation 3.0, the National Defense Authorization Act, a temporary government funding bill, and a congressional stock trading ban, all before leaving for the August recess. The House Budget Committee voting to advance Reconciliation 3.0. The framework outlines $95 billion in spending, $73 billion for defense and intelligence, $12 billion for agriculture, and $10 billion allocated to the House Administration Committee to advance parts of the Save America Act. We are expecting debate and markup this Wednesday and Thursday on Reconciliation 3.0. Joining me now is Kansas Senator Roger Marshall, member of the Senate Budget Committee. Senator, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. So the House Republicans have just 4 legislative days left on the calendar to pass Reconciliation 3.0. What happens when it gets to the Senate?
Yeah, Maria. Well, good morning. I think we have to pass it. Look, this is a small bite at the apple. This is basically the president's supplemental bill. Since the Democrats are not going to do anything to help Donald Trump, this is the only way we can get some aid to farmers, fund the military, and then take a small bite as far as the SAVE Act goes. We'll be funding any state that wants to do voter ID, that this will fund it. But I'm not satisfied, Maria. I think we need to go much, much further on this. I think we need to get Democrats on the record. Let's put a bill on the floor asking just for voter ID and see if we can get one Democrat, let alone 10 across the finish line. Americans, 80–90% of Americans want voter ID, but we'll pass this little bill in the Senate too, I think, with the 50 votes we need.
I mean, the voter ID, it's more than voter ID, right? I mean, isn't it proof of citizenship?
Well, certainly in the SAVE Act, it has the proof of citizenship. It has guardrails around the mail-in ballots. But if they're objecting to different pieces of all the SAVE Act, then let's just do it one piece at a time. You cannot get a Democrat to commit to voter ID. So I want Americans to see that. And then and then the next week, I want to get them on the record on proof of citizenship. Don't give them any wiggle room. Let's just make it really simple for them.
See, the problem is that they're issuing driver's licenses to illegals. So if you just do voter ID, then, you know, you're going to have them coming up with voter ID and driver's license, right? So that's the problem with just making it voter ID. I mean, proof of citizenship is something different than just a driver's license.
Well, Maria, I couldn't agree with you more, but I think if we can't get them on the record for voter ID, how are we ever going to get them on the record for proof of citizenship? I couldn't agree with you more. I would love to pass the whole thing. I'm trying to find a path to show America that Democrats don't even believe in voter ID, let alone proof of citizenship. And this is so important to our faith in our democracy. Voting election integrity is so important to our faith in our own government.
How important is this week in terms of getting the priorities over the finish line, looking at the midterm elections? Is this going to matter come November?
Well, not as much as the price of gasoline. I think what people are going to be seeing September 30th, though, is that once again, the Democrats are going to shut the government down. Just like they will not vote for this supplemental bill, call it a reconciliation bill now. They won't vote for voter ID. They voted against ICE funding. They voted against funding for the military just 2 weeks ago as well. And then so I think September 30th, what the voters are going to see up front and personal is the Democrats shutting the government down, and that's why it's so important that we as Republicans continue to focus on the price of gasoline and groceries, and that's certainly my intention.
Well, that has to do with the war. Are you supportive of what the president is asking for in terms of defense payments, in terms of the $1.5 trillion defense budget in 2027, and the supplemental that we're expecting with the NDAA?
Yeah, well, Maria, maybe I'm not quite comfortable with the 1.5. I'm comfortable with the $1.1 trillion, which was in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that the Democrats voted against. I'm in favor. I'm supporting what President Trump is doing right now. I'm mourning the loss of more soldiers. As you know, I served, my dad served, my brother served, my son is serving. I hate war as only a soldier who's lived it can. But I think that the benefits, the doctor me says the benefits of us being there outweigh the risk. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. At the same time, I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want a forever war. And yet we got to pay attention to these gas and groceries. Look, I want this war to be over very quickly. but we cannot ever let Iran have nuclear weapons.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying, and also what you're saying in terms of the focus being on oil and gas. But you have accomplished a lot, you and your colleagues, with the big, beautiful bill last year and all of your efforts in terms of national security. Are you going to be able to message that out going into the midterms? What's your message to voters? Tell us.
Right. Well, the Republicans are the party of prosperity and security. Your borders are secure. Murder rates are at a 100-year low as well. In Kansas, I think it's the best economy I've ever seen. Thanks to the working family tax cuts bill, manufacturing is booming, great cattle markets. Oil and gas industry is very stable as well. We have work to do in agriculture, but no one's done more for agriculture than this president and the Republican Party as well. So we're going to continue to message what we've done, but we are the party of prosperity and security. The Democrats remain defund the police, defund the military, raise your taxes, and we're the party that gave you the largest tax cut, the largest spending cut in American history. And we're starting to see the benefits from that. I'm especially excited about what I'm seeing in manufacturing across the state of Kansas.
And that has to do with the president's agenda. Get the supply chains back to America, and you're seeing this manufacturing sector fired up. Senator, I want to switch gears, ask you about COVID. You're urging the Justice Department to appoint a special counsel to investigate Dr. Anthony Fauci for his alleged role in covering up the truth about the origins of COVID-19. Fauci is going to be testifying before the Senate Homeland Security Committee soon. And, of course, I spoke with the chairman of the committee, Rand Paul, about what he's looking for. Here's what the senator told me recently. Watch this.
I expect he will not tell the truth. I expect him to dissemble. I expect him to filibuster, but I don't expect him to be honest. He has not been honest in the last 6 years. But we have the evidence now that he destroyed records, that he encouraged others to destroy records. We have evidence and the opinion of many of the people who worked around with him that the research that was funded in China and Wuhan was dangerous, gain-of-function research, and that this was perhaps the worst public health decision made in our lifetime, maybe in history. And we know it was made consciously because Fauci has told us repeatedly that he supports this research, even if an accident should happen, even if a pandemic should occur.
Lying to Congress is a felony. Will there be any accountability for lies?
Yes, and that's one of the risks he has in coming, is if that he lies during the hearing. That's a new lie, and the pardon won't cover that.
Wow. Imagine that, Senator. So here we are in the year 2020. The president, in his first term in office, is told that a pandemic is coming and that it's going to be real dangerous. We start seeing China corner the markets for PPE, et cetera, et cetera. President Trump asks his cabinet, what's this all about? What's going on? One man knew everything, right? Anthony Fauci knew it all. He knew what we were doing in terms of funding EcoHealth and sending that money to Wuhan. And what did he do? He told us, oh, it probably was coming from a wet market. In fact, very few people thought that. And now here we are, and he gets pardoned. And that pardon, I'm told, was extraordinary. Nobody's ever seen anything like this pardon. That it's like, you know, shielding him from anything 10 years ago and 10 years, anything he will do. I mean, what about this pardon? Is it legitimate? And what do you want to see happen here?
Yeah, Maria, and you know, this is, of course, one of the auto pin pardons, and that's one of our requests for this special investigation that we're asking the Justice Department to do. Look, you know, why is this important? 1 million people, 1 million Americans died. 20 million Americans still have long COVID. Loved ones suffered. Our children suffered, not getting to go to school. You know all the things that how it affected us from COVID. And there's no accountability. Thanks to Tulsi Gabbard, she unleashed a treasure trove of documents right as she was leaving that really confirm everything that my informants have told me, that Anthony Fauci not only funded the research in Wuhan, he led the charge for covering it up. Look, this makes Watergate look like a situation where some kids broke a window at recess and they're trying to hide that from their teacher. This cover up was exponential in so many ways as well. And then he covered up whistleblowers. Somehow he was able to suppress whistleblowers as well. And that's why we need a special investigation. Rand Paul will do everything he can here. He's brilliant and he knows this inside and out as well. But Fauci's going to take the fifth. That's probably what he'll do, because he should go to jail, and we should be stopping all of his government pensions as well.
Wow, just incredible. All right, well, we'll be watching all of that, Senator. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, Roger Marshall joining us. Stay with us. We are looking at the impact of AI on the healthcare industry. The Vice President of Clinical Innovation at Johns Hopkins Health System is here. We will talk with Dr. Peter Najjar on the impact of AI on the medical industry right after the break. Stay with us.